Welcome back to the breakdown, everybody. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview of the national championship game. In this specific video, I'm going to talk about the comparison of Jake Fromm and Jalen Hurts. Jake Fromm obviously being the quarterback of Georgia and Jalen Hurts being the quarterback of Alabama. I'm going to break down a little bit of their stats, give a little analysis of that, and then I'll just let you guys talk about it. You can put it in the comment section and let me know what you think about it. So first I'm going to go over some numbers here. Jake Fromm, in his completions and attempts, he's attempted 259 passes this year and completed 165 of those. Now, Jake Fromm has played one more game than Jalen Hurts. So I took out the SEC championship game since Alabama didn't play in a game after the week 12 of the regular season. So I took out Georgia's week 13 and I let both of their playoff games stay in. So now they both have 13 games. If that's the case, Jake Fromm is 149 completions out of 237 attempts. But I'll just give you both of them as I go along. So the yards that Jake Fromm has from his full body of season is 2,383 yards as compared to 2,200 for a 13-game season. 9.2 yards per attempt on the full game, 9.3 on the 13-game season. 14.4 yards per completion in the full season, and 13.8 in 13 games. He has 21 touchdowns in the 13-game season, and he has 23 touchdowns in the full season, 5 interceptions both way. And his completion percentage is still hanging around 63% in both cases, although in the full season he's 63.7%, closer to 64. So still very similar numbers that averages come out to about the same. So it'll let you know that he's consistent. Now, Jalen Hurts in his full season, the numbers are stay the same here. He's completed 151 passes out of 246 attempts for 2,060 yards, 8.4 yards per attempt, and 13.6 yards per completion, 17 touchdowns, 61.4 completion percentage, and only 1 interception. Very safe with the ball. Now, when you see these numbers, you can see they're not that very far apart. Jake Fromm obviously has a little bit of a numbers advantage, more yards passing overall. I think the total is, 323 total, 323 more passing yards, a little bit higher yards per attempt, a little bit higher yards per completion, 6 more touchdowns, about 2.5% more completion percentage, but he has thrown more interceptions. Now, the reason why I bring up these numbers is because a high yards per attempt means that for as many times that the quarterback completes the pass, they're getting more yards when they throw it. It typically means that the QB is efficient in his throws. You can break it down and say it doesn't take a lot of throws for the quarterback to get his yards. And both Jake Fromm and Jalen Hurts obviously are very efficient and they're doing a good job of this. And this is evidenced by the fact that they have a really good yards per attempt. So, like I said, Jake Fromm's yards per attempt would be 9.2, while Jalen Hurts is 8.4. A sign that the quarterbacks are not efficient or that they don't complete their passes well would be if their yards per attempt was somewhere down near 5, 4, maybe even 6. And it depends on the situation, but that would mean that they're throwing a lot of passes. That would mean something like, if they had 400 attempts passing, but only completed 250, maybe less of those. It shows you that they aren't really hitting all the passes that they hit. But these two, they are hitting over 60% of their passes. And when they do complete the ball, they're actually getting a little bit more than a first down every time on the average completion. And what I mean by that is if you look at their yards per completion, Jake Fromm has 14.4 yards per completion. Jalen Hurts has 13.6 yards per completion. They're both hanging around 14 yards per completion, which means that every time that they complete a ball, statistically, the average here, it means that they are getting just a little bit over a first down every time. That means that they are getting either, so there's a lot of things that can be influencing the factors here, but to just generalize it and make it very easy for everybody is that when they complete a pass, they're getting some yards on it, and they're not getting short yards, not getting stopped, at the line of scrimmage or whatever it may be. So they both are completing the pass kind of intermediately and up the field a little bit. So as we can see, overall, they're actually pretty similar. Fromm, like I said, he has the benefit of the extra game, but he's very consistent. Both complete a similar amount of passes at the same rate with a difference of 2% difference. And when you break it down, on 13 more attempts, Jake Fromm has 14 more completions than Jalen Hurts. So Jake Fromm has 259 pass attempts. Jalen Hurts has 246. And Jake Fromm has completed 14 more than Jalen. And if you take away, like I said, if you take away that game, he has 149 completions on 237 attempts. Like I said, very, very similar. Only thing is that Jake Fromm has thrown 6 more touchdowns than Jalen overall. The main thing that I get from this is that Fromm gets a bit more yards on his completions than Jalen. That either means he completes slightly more passes downfield than Jalen, or that his receivers get more yak yards, which is yards after catch. We will see which one it is, probably in my analysis later on, or most likely in the game. And this is corroborated, like I said, by the yards per completion. A little difference between the two. Like I said, it's like 0.8 difference between the two in terms of yards per completion, but they both are over 10 yards per completion, so that's really solid. But the big thing is that one of the reasons why I say the main thing I take from it is that you can see that there's not a lot separating these two. Some argue, and you can see it like Jake Fromm obviously is more of the prototypical pocket passer. That's what he was recruited out of high school as. You can see it when he throws the ball, it's a really good pass. But in terms of being like a really prolific pocket passer, he hasn't quite done that. As he hasn't needed to. They had a really nice run game. But I'm highlighting these to show you that there's not a huge difference between Jalen Hurts and Jake Fromm statistically. As a matter of fact, they're closer than. It's funny, I'm always fighting against the media narratives that say Bama's quarterback versus the other quarterback. The other quarterback is so great, Bama quarterback is not. Don't start going into that right now. They have different styles and they're just different types. So one thing you can argue, or one thing you can say, is that Jake Fromm seems to take more chances. He has 5 interceptions on the season. Now, I don't know the context for those 5 interceptions, but that is something you argue. That's something that you can question. But I'll have to go more into those games to see that. And at the end of the day, you can see that Jalen obviously has the running advantage. He has the wheels. He's an athletic, dual-threat quarterback, while Jake Fromm probably has more natural passing skills. And they're different. Their styles are reflected in their respective teams, in their game plans and how they execute their offensive tendencies and plays. So we'll see how all of that works out in the game. But I just wanted to give you a little breakdown of who these guys were, if you don't know who they are, and how they stack up, even though they're not going to be playing against each other. I always hate when we say quarterbacks versus quarterbacks when the quarterbacks never play each other. But that's a whole other story. But my main thing I wanted you all to get from this is that there's not a huge gap between these two. They both are in similar situations. They're placed on their teams to not make huge mistakes, to make the throws that they're given, and to basically manage the game well. And it's funny because we use game manager in a negative sense, and I hate that we use it in a negative sense, because if your quarterback can't manage the game, he's not a quarterback. He's just a gunslinger who doesn't care about down and distance, the right throw. All these type of things are important to make sure that your team is successful to win. And Jalen Hurts and Jake Fromm have done that for their teams throughout the whole season. Georgia and Alabama have not asked these two to throw the ball 50 times a game, get 35, 40 completions for 500 yards. They haven't needed to. It would be unnecessary, and I would say probably bad coaching for them to do that with these two when the rest of your team is just as good. You just need your quarterback to be steady and keep everybody going, even regardless of the crazy talent that these two have. And maybe we'll see more of that in the coming years for them. But that is all I got to say right now. I'm going to try to get another video up tonight, try to get all these previews out so you all can get them all. But that'll be it. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about these two quarterbacks. Who you think will benefit their team the most tomorrow? That's the question I'll leave you with. See you on the next video.